Hello students, welcome to science class. In previous video we have started chapter 5 separation of substances, and in this video we have learned about different methods of separation, why we need to separate substances, and different method of separation also I told you, like hand picking, threshing, winnowing, evaporation, decantation, filtration, and hand picking I explained also. Now in this video I will explain another 3 methods of separation. First is threshing. So what is threshing? First, the process of beating harvested crops to separate the grains from the stalk is called threshing, and generally this method is used by farmers only. So threshing is the process used to separate the grains from the stalk of cereal plants like rice and wheat. The stalks are first dried in the sun, and then each stalk has many grains or seeds attached to it, that you know. So what farmers do? The farmers make small bundles of these stalks first, and then heats them very hard against a rock or other hard surfaces like drum or anything. And due to this the grains get separated from the stalks. And sometimes threshing is done with the help of bullocks. Some machines are also used to thresh large quantity of grains, but nowadays for everything machineries are available, so threshing method also done by the machines only. See, this is the manual threshing method. This is the manual threshing method. It means that grains of seeds of plants such as rice and wheat serve as source of food, that you know. The flour, or you can say that atta, that is used for making chapatis is made from wheat grains. And after these crops has been harvested, or we can say cut, the grains need to be separated from the stalk first. It means that stalks, what is the meaning of stalk? Stalk means the dried stems, and this is done by threshing. So threshing means what? The process of beating harvested crops to separate the grains from the stalk is called threshing. It is done manually. Manually it means by hand or with the help of machines. Manual threshing is done by holding a pile of crops and beating it on a rock or a hard surface. And what happens if it is beating? So the beating causes loosen and separate the grains from the stalk. And sometimes threshing is also done by crushing the harvested stalk using bullocks. And as I told you, threshing is also done with the help of machines such as combine harvesters, we can say that. A combine harvester reaps, threshes, and also clean the crop in one operation. So threshed grains may still contain seed covering and tiny pieces of leaves or stems. These are separated by the winnowing, that I will explain later. See, this is also one method of harvesting. As I told you that beating of dried stalk with a hard surfaces. This is the table, or we can table. This woman is beating that dry stalks with the hard surface like table and all. So this is also one of the method of beating dried surface. See, you also can do this. For that also, that I am telling one activity. Bring a packet of grain purchased from a shop. You then spread the grain on a paper or sheet. Then you can remove that impurities by hand picking. And you must have seen bundles of wheat or paddy stalks lying in field after harvesting the crop. Have you ever seen this? So when you go to farm or that village, you may seen these bundles of wheats or paddy stalks on the field. So when stalks are dried in the sun, so before the grain is separated from them, each stalk has many grain seed, that you know that. See, when you see these stalks of grains, so you see that many grain seeds attached to each stalk. So one may see that how that farmer separate the grains from these dry stalks. So the process that is used to separate grain from stalk is threshing. So in this process, the stalks are beaten to free the grain seeds, and sometimes threshing is done with the help of bullocks. Machines are also used to thresh large quantity of grain. See, this is also one more method of this threshing. Some women also that beaten that dry stalks with the drum. It means that hard surface. See, now this is the threshing machine. Nowadays these threshing machines are available because of large quantity of grain stock. So that's why now threshing is done by the machine nowadays. So our next method is winnowing. So winnowing first, the method used to separate chaff from the grain by wind or blowing air is called chaff. So what is the meaning of chaff first? So after threshing, grains sometimes still contain seed covering and tiny pieces of leaves or stems are there. Yes, so this is called chaff. So the method used to separate chaff from the grain by wind or blowing air is called winnowing. See, now for winnowing also that you can, for that also I am telling you one activity. See, for example, take some amount of dry sand and mix some sawdust or powdered dry leaves in it. Now keep this mixture on a plate or newspaper. So now after that, if you want to separate this separate that sand particles and dried leaves, so by which method you can separate this? Are you separate it by hand picking? No, it is not possible to separate by hand picking or harvesting. So what you do, take your mixture to an open ground and stand on a raised platform. So put the mixture in a plate or sheet of paper. Now hold the whole plate or the sheet of paper containing the mixture at your shoulder height and tilt it slightly, so that what will happen, the mixture slides out slowly. So what will happen? See, now sand and sawdust both are different particles only, because sand is somewhat heavy and sawdust is light in weight. So after that, when you tilt this, so what will happen, that whatever light particles are there, it will blown away by the wind, and whatever that heavy particles are there, it will fall towards your feet only. So this method of separating components or for mixture is called winnowing. So winnowing, we can say winnowing is used to separate heavier and lighter component of a mixture by wind or by blowing air. So generally this method also used by farmers to separate lighter husk particles from heavier seeds of grain. So what happened? The husk particles are carried away by the wind and the seeds of grain get separated and form a heap near the platform for winnowing only. So the separated husk is used for many purposes such as fodder for cattle. So in winnowing, the mixture is allowed to fall from a height and the lightened components get separated from the heavier ones because of wind or air blow. And this method is used to separate lighter husk from heavier grains like wheat. See this in this picture also you can see that one lady is doing winnowing method only. So winnowing is commonly used by farmers to separate husk from grain by wind. It makes use of the fact that grains are heavier than husk. Yes, so the mixture of grains and husk is made to fall down from a height, and the grains being heavier, you know that grain particles are heavier, so it will fall down vertically and form a heap, while husk particles are light. So lighter husk particles is carried away by the wind and form a separate heap at a distance away from the grains. So you can separate this way husk particles and grain particles, and after that husk is used for, you can use for fodder also, fodder for cattle. So the method used to separate chaff from the grain by wind or blowing air is called winnowing. And the mixture of chaff and grain is taken in a winnowing basket. The farmer stands at a higher level and lets the mixture fall to the ground. The grain being heavier falls almost vertically, whereas the lighter chaff is carried away by the wind and forms a separate heap away from the grain. So the separated chaff is used as fodder for cattle, and the direction of the wind plays in here because it is a winnowing method. Winnowing, from name only you can understand this method is done by the wind only. So the direction of wind plays an important role in the process of winnowing. See here one more method, that is sieving. So sieving allows the fine particles to pass through the holes of the sieve while the bigger impurities remain on the sieve. What is the sieving method? What is the meaning of sieving method? So sometimes we may wish to prepare a dish with flour. Yes, that time we need to remove impurities and that may be present in it. So what do we do? We use a sieve and pour the flour into it. Now what will happen? Sieving allows the fine flour particles to pass through the holes of the sieve while the bigger impurities remain on the sieve only. You can see that in a flour mill also impurities like husk and stones are removed from wheat before grinding it, and usually that you can see that sieving removes pieces of stone, stalk and husk that may still remain with wheat after threshing and winnowing. See, so if the component of a mixture are a different sizes, they can be separated by sieving. Yes, so the smaller component passes through the pores of the sieve, whereas the large component like stones or husk is left behind it, and this method is used in some homes also to separate wheat brains. It means that bigger particles from the flour, and generally your mother also done this process every day. So however, sieving wheat flour is not advisable as wheat bran which is removed during sieving, so is very rich in nutrients, you know that. So the process of sieving is also used to separate some pebbles and stone also. So this method is used for separating the solid component of a mixture which differ in size, we can say. Sieving, this method is used for separating the solid components of a mixture which differ in size. So for separation of undesirable materials, sieving having holes of a proper pores size is used so that the fine particles pass through the sieve while bigger components are retained on top. So for example, sieving used to separate wheat flour from wheat bran. See, now this way also nowadays this type of sieves are also available. Yes, one more thing. You may have also noticed similar sieves being used in construction sites. Yes, to separate pebbles and stones from sand. So at construction site, sand is sieved to remove straw, tiny pebbles and stones from it. This sieved sand is then used for building purpose. So the process of sieving is also used to separate pebbles and stones from sand and construction sites. The stones and pebbles present in the mixture remain in the sieve and the fine sand particles pass through the holes of the sieve. So students, in now till here only I am explaining here. Hopefully in next video I will explain some more methods of separation. We'll meet you soon. Thank you.